Hi, my name is Brianna Motzkus. I'm with the Fabric Patch in Ephrata, Washington. You can find us at fabricpatch.net. Today's little tutorial is done by Tracy. If you are new to us or maybe you follow us for a while, she's actually our shipping guru here at the store. But she has also found a brand new love for Sashiko and Boro stitching. So we did a mixed media retreat a couple weeks ago, and one of their classes, and we also offered it to those of you who are away as a Zoom class, and we kind of recorded it. We edited it down for a little quick tutorial. So if you are someone who has watched, or maybe you watch box opening, maybe something's happening in your local area and you're interested in Sashiko or Boro, Tracy is going to do some of the basics, kind of talk about the difference of what is Sashiko, what is Boro, and kind of how they go hand in hand. You can get all of the stuff she talks about at our website, fabricpatch.net. And maybe you're going to start a whole new love for that, or maybe you're just curious to see what we're doing here at the shop. So I hope you enjoy that. Let us know if you want to know more about the Sashiko stitching or the Boro technique. And we can have Tracy, we'll talk her into doing a few more little lessons for you guys to talk about maybe how to use the stencils, maybe other ideas she has how to stitch, or maybe just another fun show and tell as she keeps going. So let us know in the comments if you want to see more about Sashiko and Boro, and we will definitely get Tracy behind the camera to show you some more. So hope you enjoy it. Let us know in the comments, or you can email us at info@fabricpatch.net. That actually goes straight to Tracy. So if you have any particular questions, she would be happy to answer those for you. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time.
Take your wrapper off, and then we're going to unwind the skein until it's one big loop. Okay, so now you're allowed to take those snips and cut. We've got one long open strand, and then what you do is you take that little piece of paper, stick your threads back in, and then you can keep it safe, and then you can pull off one strand at a time.
And short strands aren't a hard thing to work with.
No.
Keep in mind, the shorter your thread is, the less likely that knots will happen.
Or twisting, yeah. The twisting won't happen as much, yeah. So you can, if you want to, turn this into 3 pieces and do a quick loose braid to keep it on your paper. But I usually just leave it open and then just grab it and twist it back up and put it in my box to save. Get one of your needles out of the 2-pack. And the 2-pack has a shorter needle and a long needle. I personally like this long needle. Oops, let me get it out. Just because once you get going, you can push more stitches onto it. So what you prefer. You could actually get both of them threaded, and then then you've got your finished one, you've got one ready. And then the other things that we have are we got the muslin, the fabric bits, our Sashiko thread, and the marking pens. You can see the blue shows up nicely on most of them.
Wash away or heat away?
These are heat away. So, but there is the white, you can switch off and use that, of course, on your darker fabrics, but it takes a second for it to show up. So you're going to rub, do a little line. It's not going to be as bold as this blue one is. The first step you guys will be taking is getting your fabrics out and just starting to lay it out on the fabric in just random ways. We had a gal that comes to our store, Sally Catlin, and I knew she did Sashiko, and I love it the way it looked, and I thought, I'm ready to stitch up the holes in my jeans, and that looks like a really great method for it. So we just started doing the Boro stitching. And I decided to cut it and make it into a tiny purse. What else do we have here? So I put a circle on mine, and we'll do some sketching and line drawing, but I just found things at home, drew a circle on it. That's how I got those started. You could Sally thought mug rugs would be cute out of this, and then Cindy and I said, we don't want to spill anything on it. So here's just a few, stitches that are more of a Sashiko and Boro, more of the Boro. So you can do just about anything with these stitches. This was a difficult piece for me. I'm not finished, but turning it into mixed media by adding elements along as you go. After you get some stitches done, you can add fun bits to it, buttons, keys, twigs. Once it's all in place, you can just start peeling it back and marking it with your glue, and it doesn't have to be completely covered. I would overlap a tiny bit because I've tried both. I laid this out and they're really close. I would try to overlap at least, say, 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch and then, glue it. So otherwise it might pull apart as you do the stitching. It kind of shrinks the fabric a little bit with the stitches, so it would pull it apart. So you want to have a little bit of overlap. So I'm going to just go right ahead, and we're going to start with these big basting stitches. So with your needle passing through the back.
And they just have like one strand of basic quilting thread.
Yeah, basic thread.
Then you go put through your sewing machine.
Exactly. And so you're just going to go big stitches, like an inch or so. And then you just want to make sure that you maybe catch it over each one of your fabrics. I'm now just going to make a little tiny knot on the back, and that is after you've accomplished those steps. And you can see that I have not stayed inside the lines, which is perfectly fine, because at the end, after we finished and we add our shape flex to stabilize the fabric and hold the little threads in place, we can trim it up and shape it whatever way we want. All right, so now that you have everything pasted down and you've got your stitches to hold it in place, I took a ruler and I just, kind of roughly found a corner and made a grid line right here. So I used both of my pens, one white inside of the black fabric, and then I switched over to my blue on the lighter fabric so I could see them on both areas. And I'm going to make a 1/4 inch grid line. And what you'll do is place that 1/4 inch mark right on top of the line that you just made. And I'm going to just do a couple lines. I want to show you this piece. It has a grid on the entire piece. All right. So let me step aside and look at it. You can roughly see the blue in here, and then the white lines in the blue. I love that blue. Love it. Also, if you wanted to stick a little circle on there, you could do it now. Any place you want. I think I'll stick in the black area. So it's faint, but I can see it. And it's kind of fun with the polka dots in it. But I figure when I go around and make the stitches on this little circle, I might go 1/8 inch stitches all the way around there like that. So make a few grids. I only put 3 on that last one when I was demonstrating, but I do recommend that we have a section that's maybe 3 by 3 or 2 by 3, so you can get the feel for stitching. So this Boro and Sashiko book that Cindy and Brianna have at the Fabric Patch, I really love this. The Shannon and Jason, and I don't know, Millette. But these are your authors. It gives a little bit of information and background on them. Has some really elaborate Sashiko and showing some of the fun Boro, and they've done some really sweet movements in there. Got some stitches that are Sashiko, but we can use in our project if we want to. And one of the recommendations that I thought was fun that they made was when you start, and you could do it with this too if you don't want to continue with that grid, just take a piece of fabric and do some stitches and see what kind of stitches you make, how even, how uneven they are. Here's one that they did. So it's kind of fun. And I did try that, and it's a little harder than I thought it would be to just freehand put the stitches, but they are really fun. And I'm sure that back in the day when the Japanese farmers were mending their clothes, they didn't make much of a grid. They just did it because they needed to, and it looked just fine, and it worked really well. So I'm thinking if you can find what do we have, the little leather dots? Yeah, that would work really well to stick on your thumb. But I thought I might try to do more stitches where I push the needle through with the palm of my hand rather than torture my thumb. So I have not tried this yet. It's a really cool little leather hand thimble, and you put it down here, and then so when you're stitching, you push those stitches onto your needle, and then you push your needle through the fabric. So that might be a game changer for my thumb. All right, so our first, get it to go through here. And then I hold my needle like this, and I get my fabric. When I put this needle in, I'm going to put it right in the center of those 4 squares, and I'll kind of gather up my fabric in my hand, and I'm going to push the fabric on, and then find your next square and just push it on. So you can probably get 4 or 5 little folds of fabric, and then we're gonna push it right through. Okay, and then I'll turn it and work it through. Needle's a little bit large, but it will work. And then on the back, if you take that initial place that you went in and pull it out just a little, you want to leave that tail, so as we're working our way down this length of fabric and you get to the end, you've got a little place, so because it does get tight, it does start to bunch up, and this way you're not going to have ripples. Oh, Brianna's doing a thread in the needle. She's so awesome. All right, so just continuing on with that, we'll go all the way down to the bottom, and we're going to hold our needle and just put this fabric on. Now, with Boro, it is thicker because we have layers of fabric, where if you're doing the linen and the Sashiko, you don't have all those layers to pass through, and so it's smooth. It's a smooth motion to put your fabric onto your needle. And I'm going to try this because maybe we can get some of these. Why not? But so now that I've got my folds on, I can punch that and pull it. So it's just a little thick, but we can still get it to come through. And if you find that you're struggling with it, just don't collect so many folds of fabrics with your needle. Just go through maybe 2 or 3 passes and then bring your thread through. See, there is that question about overlapping. It's better to have a little overlap. Right here, I'm a little shy on that, it'll still be okay that I don't have it there, but that's a good that I can point that out to you, that it really does help. Okay, so when you get to that end and you pull this through, what you want to do is you're going to leave a loop here so that when you're taking all these stitches down, because it is tight and it is a little, heavier thread, a little different than, hand stitching, I guess, because we're going through so many layers, but do leave that, because as you go and you pull it through, you'll have that little extra, it's a safety.
So you won't have a
puckered
project.
I mean, it's going to be a little bit puckered, but this will be less puckered if you keep that little loop there at the end. And you can use pearl cotton number 8. And we sell Sue Spargo at the store also, along with the Sashiko, and you can use that. In fact, I've used that quite a bit.
The biggest difference between Sashiko label thread
wrapped.
Is the twist. Your Sashiko thread is twisted far tighter than a pearl cotton or a floss. But a 6-strand or a size 8 is an equivalent weight.
Doing this stitch, you can go back and forth. We can go diagonal across the square like this, and then you could diagonal all the way up, and then you could stop and go the opposite direction and make an X. I do like the French knots just for a little fun, so I just pull it up and pull this out to the left. I wrap it around one time and then poke it back through, holding this thread a little bit so it keeps that little circle tighter, and you just pull it right through. And I did it on top of the polka dot, and it's going to anchor it down for me. I really like the those little bits, knot, and just end it like that and trim it down. Okay, so this one I finished. So you see it's a bit messy, but once that shape flex gets pressed on, like Brianna said, it's our friend. It's going to hold things in place, and you can tuck your threads in. So we've got just a running stitch doing 2 per square. I thought it might be fun to make something that looked like an open square. A lot of French knots, more French knots, and this fabric I just connected through with a running stitch. And then I got some black thread so it would show up on the lighter bits, and just did running stitches. So I just took a pen, and this works on 4 squares, skip 4 squares, 4 squares. Okay, so we're going to just go over. And if you had a whole grid ready to go, so I'm going to go over 4, and I would take my line here and here. And I kind of work these flowers one at a time because it just seems easier to me, so you're just doing this. So that stitch, you bring it in from the corner and then almost to the center, but leave that center open, and then you've got whatever fabric is inside. It looks like a flower center. So you just skip 4 squares, do your diagonal stitches, and make a flower. And the small flowers, they're made inside of 1 stitch, skipping a stitch. And I liked adding this little dash between them. Okay, so very small stitches, same concept, just inside 1. And you leave that little center open, and you just keep making your little teeny cute flowers. And so the next row would be down here. And then you have your little dashes in between. So that is fun. I like the pluses. They're easy. They're just inside of each 1/4 inch square, X's, more just running stitch dashes, and these are on a diagonal, and you could switch, it makes it look like an arrow. You could, you know, if you wanted to go in and add dots, you could do that. And then these are fun. Oh, I like this. It reminds me of a mud cloth, where your lines, there's all kinds of different designs for mud cloth, but the horizontal lines and then some vertical lines and horizontal, and then more squares with just a little different concept where you're going to place I made the dots so it would be a little easier to see, right? So inside of the square, 2 lines, the square below, 2 lines, then on the side, 2 lines, and then we'll do a little dash in here.
Oh, look at that. That's cute, Bonnie.
Let's see.
Maybe she's taking a picture. I like the back of her fingers. I don't know.
Okay.
I like it.
You get yourself some graph paper. You can have fun making up a design or practicing it before you start stitching it.
That's cool. I like the idea of using the graph paper as your, rough draft.
Yeah, it helps. It really does. So I think more for the Sashiko designs, it's kind of helpful. And then with some of the bigger ones, you could practice the flow of, the thread going one direction and down the other. But that could be a good friend to us. I love crows, so I cut out a crow design, and I'm going to put it on my next Boro piece.
Oh, cool.
And I'll either cut this out or do some stitching on top to kind of emulate where the flowers might be. And I thought, gosh, let's make it a mixed media. So this is some of the slub that I was talking about from the store. Really super wonderful to stitch through. Slub.
It's a slub linen, so you can see all of the imperfections kind of in it.
It's wonderful. So on the back, it looks
texture.
It's really great. And then, so it's just the slub, the stitching. We threw in some branches and beads and buttons and metal and crystal. So you can really expand in a lot of different directions with this. A lot of fun.
All right.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.